Did they just fix the Battlefront Classic Collection? That's the question I want to answer today, because surprisingly, we actually got a fairly large patch today / yesterday night or wherever you live. It seems to only have dropped for PC right now, but is going through the submission and certification process for the PlayStation, Xbox and Nintendo. So I'm basically gonna go through the full change list here in the video, but also show you some of the testing that I've done during the day to see how much did this patch actually fix, and if there's still broken stuff in the game. Spoilers, yes there are, but overall this is definitely a big step in the right direction. And I know I've been very negative in my previous videos because, well, there's not really been a lot of positive stuff to talk about. A lot of broken stuff, zero communication, and the list goes on. But whenever something good happens, I'll be there to talk about it too. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I want to cover the good and the bad and try to be as informative as I possibly can. So early this morning they posted the patch notes for Battlefront Classic Collection Update 1 out on Aspire's support site, where they said the following: Update 1 is available now for Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection on Steam. I also downloaded it and I can confirm that it is indeed 15 gigabytes in size, so it's a quite hefty update that includes quite a lot of fixes. We are in the submission and certification process for PlayStation, Xbox and Nintendo, and will release Update 1 on those platforms as soon as that process completes. We are continuing to make server-side adjustments to improve the online multiplayer experience, as well as planning for Update 2. So before we get into the specific client-side fixes, how does the multiplayer actually work now, and where did this patch kind of come from? Because first of all, I'm honestly surprised they released a patch of this magnitude with this many fixes, because there has been almost no communication at all. All they said was that they're working to tweak the multiplayer stuff, and they didn't even mention that the patch was coming at all. So the question is the damage already done? All the refunds, all the negative media, is that going to be turned around by a good patch? I don't think so. I mean, you see what happened with Battlefront 2 by EA. Even though they turned that game around, made it really good with years of content, some people still think it's a pay-to-win game or that the game is crap. So just one patch is definitely not gonna fix this launch. But it will hopefully get the game in the right direction, and I do appreciate that they actually say that they're already planning for Update 2 here, meaning that this was probably pushed out to fix some of the most major issues, and then there will be more tweaks coming in the next patch. But what really bugs me the most about all of this is that so many of these problems could have been found extremely easy, and they could have just delayed the release with 1 week. I mean, how many of these issues did we reviewers not find in the actual early access period? And if they had fixed half of these issues, it would not have been as terrible of a launch. But even so, with the terrible launch, if they would have come out day one and said, we are aware of all of these issues and we will be releasing a patch, even that would have helped, because people would have been like, okay, I'll lay down the game for a couple of days, I'll wait for the patch and then come back. But now people refund it instead and it blows up in media. It's just so poorly handled. So what about the multiplayer? Well, I hopped on today to try, and to my surprise, the servers were actually a bit more filled now. Still not really a lot of players, to be honest, but I could find one Aspire server that was pretty much full, whereas 2 days ago there was none. And I hopped on, and my first experience was honestly that it was a little bit better. It's far from perfect, and to be honest, the original Battlefront 2 servers were kind of crappy back in the day, so unless they make some major adjustments and fixes, it's probably never gonna feel perfect. But I didn't feel like the lag was as bad. Trying to hit someone who is running with like a sniper rifle, that still kind of felt like an impossible task. And seeing some of the comments from people actually in the game, it was kind of mixed. Some people said the hitboxes were still off, some people said it was definitely better. And I did see some people still teleporting around, rubber banding, and that just made me really demotivated to play. But to be honest, playing like 2, 3, 4 games, I did actually have a bit of fun, and it didn't feel like it was as unplayable as before. It just felt like this is kind of how it was 20 years ago. And considering they're saying that they're still doing adjustments to improve the multiplayer experience, I hope this can be further improved beyond how it is right now. But in short, my multiplayer experience was definitely better than it was 1 week ago. It wasn't as bad, but to be clear, it definitely was not perfect. but let's jump over to the full change list. First of all, we got a couple of fixes for the Battlefront 2 multiplayer, more specifically about client-side issues with timing out, crashes, and password-locked games appearing through the quick match option. But the multiplayer section is obviously more revolving around the servers that I mentioned previously. As for control schemes, in Battlefront 1 they did some split-screen fixes, fixed a crash that happened in Battlefront 2 when you tried to build fleets using the mouse and keyboard in Galactic Conquest. The bonuses actually being able to be highlighted in the bonus selection screen in Galactic Conquest, something I experienced myself, but most importantly, they've also fixed the invert control options in Battlefront 1 and 2, something that in my opinion was a huge issue that I also brought up in my initial review, and now I actually went into Battlefront 1 and was able to fly properly. However, one bug still remains, where when your FPS goes really high, like in this clip I think I was sitting at like 1000 FPS, the mouse sensitivity is completely whack, where I can't turn around unless I'm using the keyboard instead, which is why you will see me move very slowly and then suddenly move pretty fast. That's actually present in both games, and I'm not sure how that actually happens, because sometimes my FPS is capped to 144, which is my refresh rate and makes total sense, and sometimes my FPS is up to 1000, and the only real difference I noticed between the cap and not cap is that the Starfighter Assault sensitivity is completely whack when my FPS is really high. So I think technically I could probably fix that by limiting the FPS through Nvidia's control panel, but that really shouldn't be necessary and should be done by the game itself. And we've got a crap ton of visual fixes here, like you can see. I'm not gonna go through every single one, but some of the major ones that people have complained about is, for instance, the zoom in scope crosshair image that would not properly fit to widescreen displays. A lot of the textures being bugged, skyboxes not working properly, and AI units kind of sliding around when they were not close to a player. So there's definitely a lot of good fixes in here that I think people have pointed out since the launch. But then we get to the Hero Assault section with some neat fixes for Kit Fisto's animations, but even some rebalancing for Ventress abilities, which I think is pretty cool that they're going in and tweaking 20-year-old abilities. I did some testing with Ventress and I can't really put my finger on what the rebalance is, to be honest, but nevertheless good that they are tuning that kind of stuff too. Another huge fix that people have been asking for, the audio for the Battlefront 1 loading screen is also fixed, and I can confirm that it sounds just like in the original too. And they also mentioned that they fixed the music to play on several maps in the Hero Assault mode. I'm not sure if this refers to the bug where the Cantina song plays even when you have disabled music. I tried Hero Assault quickly today and didn't get the bug, but that doesn't confirm that it's completely gone. And then a bunch of other notable bug fixes here, like soft locks, respawn blockers, and collision issues. But I also want to note one big fix that I'm honestly surprised they did not put in this list, which is the fact that they have restored the cutscenes to the 501st journals. I did play through a little bit myself today and can verify that the cutscenes after each mission is now back in the game. This was honestly one of the most major things that was missing in my opinion, as it meant that you couldn't really get the full single player experience. So as you can see, quite a lot of fixes, and honestly they have fixed most of the stuff that I had issues with in my initial review and over the last week. So what is the state of the game right now? Is it worth playing? Is it worth buying? Did they fix everything? Well, the game is actually in an okay state now, in my opinion. They've honestly fixed most of the major issues I had with the game, and I feel like I can genuinely tell someone who has never experienced Battlefront 1 and 2 now that if you buy the Classic Collection, you will experience the game like it was back in the day, pretty accurately. Just to be clear, all the bugs aren't fixed, and most importantly the multiplayer servers are still quite whack. But we need to be honest and say that the servers in the original games weren't the best either. However, I still think they could have updated the multiplayer code basically to be more modern and work better. But if the game at least matches how the originals were, that's still decent enough to me. Is this a perfect release now? No, it's not. What would I rate it? 7, maybe 8 out of 10, but I don't like to just be on the negative side all the time, and when they've actually released a patch that fixes so many of the major issues, I feel a bit motivated to jump on. And that's kind of what I noticed when I hopped on the multiplayer today too, as I saw a lot of people in the chat saying that they were happy about the patch and that they had fun with the game again. And same thing if you go and check Reddit, there's a lot of positivity around the release again, which makes me happy, as I would have been very sad to see the game be left in the state that it was a couple of days ago. But it's definitely too early to take anything for granted. We need to see how this works when it rolls out on the consoles and what happens with update number 2 as well before we make any final judgment. But all I can say is I appreciate the patch, it seems to fix all the major stuff, and if Aspyr can continue to release updates like this, the game will be left in a good state. But I want to hear from all of you who have played on PC today, and even when the patch is out on consoles, you feel free to come back to this video. Let me know how the game feels for you right now, and if there are still any major stuff you think are not working. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.